Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the African Trade Platform. My name is Emmanuel Castus. I'll be your MC for the evening, but I'm also involved on the platform on the mineral side, overseeing some of the minerals. Thank you for being here this afternoon. We're also streaming live to some other places around the globe, so welcome to those of you who are on the live stream. It's really great to have you here. We're really excited about this platform. It's been quite a road with USAID. Welcome to those from USAID who are in the room, Dr. Golden Mahove and Nick Christoforu. And we have Alan Hackner who's going to dial in just now to speak to us. So I've been working with Warwick Blamey for a couple of years now, and I have to tell you, I have not met someone who's more ambitious than Warwick and really passionate about what he does. And I think this is what it's about. This is about enabling trade on a different level across Africa and really streamlining trade and making it really easy for those who sometimes cannot or aren't able to trade, and making it really available for them and making it possible. And of course those who are trading already, we're just making it easier and more streamlined. So Warwick and Dean have been working for 5 years now, really streamlining everything in the mineral and the agri side, just to understand the inner workings of trade and bringing it onto the platform and streamlining. Dean is the genius behind creating the platform. Which we'll go through in a bit. And of course, we're in partnership with USAID, who have come along this journey with us, and we're really thankful that they've joined us and come along and trust us with, or entrusting us with this journey. So without further ado, we're going to go into a Zoom presentation. We have Alan Hackner on the other side, who is the Contract Officer Representative for USAID. Alan joined USAID in 2001, where he served as Senior Private Sector Specialist in the USAID Southern African Regional Economic Growth Office, as well as Program and Project Development Officer backstopping the Housing and Municipal Infrastructure, Economic Growth and Health teams. Prior to joining USAID, he was Acting Executive Director for Strategic Planning at the Johannesburg Metropolitan Council. He has a master's degree in Town and Regional Planning from the University of Natal, Durban, a postgraduate diploma in the Property Development and Management from the University of Witwatersrand. Ladies and gentlemen, Alan Hackner.
Good evening, everybody. It's a real great pleasure to be here for the launch of CEPE's Capital African Trade Platform. My name is Alan Hackner, and I'm the United States Agency for International Development Contracting Officer's representative for the USAID Southern Africa Trade and Investment Hub. I know that's a bit of a mouthful. USAID, through the Trade Hub, is proud to partner with firms in Southern Africa seeking to access finance and markets in South Africa, as well as the United States through the African Growth and Opportunity Act. There's often a disconnect in African markets between suppliers, buyers, and other stakeholders engaged in trade transactions. And many international buyers do not have access to African products, and they're often faced with the challenge of product quotations from various origins, as well as a laborious process of generating logistics quotations to reach their final destination. This lack of information and transactional bottlenecks play a significant role in determining the final cost of a product. On the other hand, African suppliers find it challenging to reach the right buyers for their products and to understand the requirements of their destination market. USAID, through the USAID Trade Hub, recognizes these challenges and is working with market players to identify and resolve these constraints. The USAID Trade Hub is focused on 3 market segments: capital provision, transaction advisory services, and financial educational solutions, where these constraints exist. We are working with our partners to facilitate market-based solutions that can be scaled up and will remain operational beyond the existence of the USAID Trade Hub. To achieve this, the USA Trade Hub has partnered with SEBWest Capital Partners, a South African-based financial service provider. SEBWest brings both the experience and interest to provide innovative solutions to small and medium enterprises in 8 of the USA Trade Hub's focus countries, namely Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, Malawi, Mozambique, Namibia, South Africa, and Zambia. SEBWest Capital Partners has designed the African Trade Platform as a tool that can support the scaling of capital provision and access without significantly increasing the cost of delivery. And USA Trade Hub is supporting SEBWest's marketing efforts to attract SMEs and other market actors to join the platform. Today's session is an opportunity to make viable and attractive propositions to the firms supported by the USA Trade Hub, and at the same time contribute to the region's broader economic development. So I'd like to thank the business community in Southern Africa for its continued engagement with USAID. We at USAID value your support and share the same desire to see exports from the region, regional trade, and access to finance increasing. We are glad to see today's launch has attracted a range of participants from across the Southern Africa region, and we are hopeful that we can build on this to grow business through in-person and virtual engagements. And to our partners developing the Africa Trade Platform, thank you, and all the best with this innovative initiative. We look forward to seeing the platform develop into a sustainable business that will maintain and expand the impact of USAID's investment in the region as a whole.
So that's what it's about, ladies and gentlemen. It's really about bringing, some of you I know personally in the room, some of you I'm only going to meet tonight, and that's really what it's about. It's about bringing all these partnerships together to really develop trade across our platform. Our next speaker is Dr. Golden Mahove, who is the Chief of Party USA Trade Hub. Golden is a leading expert in inclusive agribusiness and enterprise development using the market systems development approach, and an accomplished team leader on 5 multi-million-dollar multi-country programs. He brings 27 years experience in market system development, agribusiness development, and value chain analysis. He has led multi-country projects supporting trade, investment, market linkages, and income growth in Africa in various sectors, with experience supporting commodity value chains development to enhance enterprise growth. Golden has a doctorate in business administration with business model innovation specialization and an MBA in enterprise development.
The USA Trade Hub, as indicated by Alan, it's a US government-funded initiative which covers Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, Malawi, Mozambique, Namibia, South Africa, and Zambia. It's a $73 million initiative. We are in our 5th year of 6 years. So I'll just walk you through in terms of what SEBWest is doing and what it means to us, and where the two worlds connect. We do 3 things. We recognize South Africa's important economic role within the region. If we combine the 7 countries that I mentioned and compare them with South Africa, you'll find that South Africa's GDP is 4 times larger than the 7 countries compared. And promoting intra-regional trade is therefore important in terms of maximizing on the opportunities available within the sub-region and beyond. So the first thing that we do then is to promote movement of goods and services from the region into South Africa. You may ask why. Take for example macadamia. South Africa is a leading exporter of macadamia, but it's not necessarily the leading manufacturer or producer. You have to rely on imports from Mozambique, Malawi, and Zambia, and that linkage within the region enables the industry in South Africa to access the needed raw materials to export, to further process, re-export, or export elsewhere in the world. Secondly, when you look at FDI inflows, South Africa commands the lion's share in the region, but we need to move that capital into the region. So expansion of investors from South Africa into the rest of the region is our second objective. That also includes movement of technologies. We know that South Africa has a lot of industrialized sectors, but growth is further north. And moving that technology into the rest of the region is one mechanism that we can use to grow the economy. Then lastly, we've got the African Growth and Opportunity Act, which offers preferential trade terms on at least 6,500 product lines into the US. This is only available to African countries. And it means, therefore, companies within the region that we're operating in have a competitive edge when they get into the US. I mean, the US is a big market. If you look at South Africa, how many are we? 59 million. We compare that with how many? 330 million people in the US. That's already a very large market for us to tap into. So we support companies from the region to get into the US. So in short, the trade platform is useful in terms of bringing together key players that need to interact, to transact, and find each other in a manner that reduces the costs of searching to find each other, but also costs in terms of doing the actual deals, as well as thickening the ecosystem to ensure that all the required services are available in one place and it's easy for people to transact. So Chimwemwe wants to grow her business through international trade, but it's not always going to be possible for every small business to get into the US, to get into South Africa, to get into the EU. We need mechanisms that will enable the vast productive capacity that's available across our continent to be tapped into and converted into tradable products and services. Meet Peter. So Peter is a manufacturer, a processor of peanut butter in Zambia. But he also trades in peanut butter and groundnuts. And as we know, South Africa has over the last 10 years been witnessing a decline in the harvesting or production of groundnuts. Where do they come from? We can either source them offshore or we can source them from within the region. When we source them offshore, we source for how much? At least $1,300 per metric ton. Source from Zambia, Malawi, or Mozambique, you can source for $800 a ton. You can get the groundnuts in 7 days as opposed to 45 days. So speed to market, quality, as well as cost of raw material is enhanced through promotion of intra-regional trade. So Peter needs working capital and technology that is not available in Zambia, but is available in South Africa. This is where the African Trade Platform comes in terms of what it offers. So Peter can source the groundnuts from Chimwemwe and 45,000 other smallholder farmers, 80% of whom are women, and act as an aggregator and work with a buyer in South Africa who is looking for the raw material. But for that to happen, a number of services are required to make that trade possible. So the African Trade Platform then comes in handy in terms of offering those range of services. So we are very grateful for SafeVest in this market leadership in offering a platform where different actors can collaborate and build an ecosystem that will enable all those services to be available to Peter, to Chimwemwe, to exporters. I'm using an example that is probably lower level, but we can now scale this up to mining. We can scale this up to any other commodity and any other players within the system. The principles remain the same. And this is why the platform is of interest and excites us as the USA Trade Hub. The platform features that excite us are the fact that, one, the users or customers find that the platform will reduce transaction costs and will produce the right matchmaking arrangements that will enable people to find each other easily to trade. Secondly, the role of authentication of who is on the platform, are they who they say they are, is quite important, because it builds the confidence amongst the actors to say, I can transact because whoever is on that platform has been authenticated. And thirdly, the configuration in terms of the digital interface means that a lot of other players beyond the buyers and sellers can also participate in this platform and further add value to the platform. If we look at Facebook in this model, it's a platform. In 2004, when it started as a social network, it had a few users. But with time, looking 2007, it added on its platform developers, so that complementary capabilities could be brought onto Facebook. And as a result of that, by 2014, they could acquire WhatsApp. 2019, 2.6 billion users on that platform, now interfacing on WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Messenger. Look to the left in terms of, to the right in terms of how that was enabled. That was enabled as a business model by combining the capabilities of Facebook as well as the capability of other ecosystem players that could develop complementary products or services and tools that could be loaded onto the platform to enable them to get here, to the 2.6 billion. So when we see the vision that you have started off with, we see it in this realm, which is why it's important to us as the USA Trade Hub to partner with you to continue with this very interesting initiative. The platform is not only for big players. We know that Africa has got so many micro, small, and medium enterprises. How do they get to participate in a trade platform like this? The women that do crafts under trees, the women that harvest marula in Palabora, in Zambia, and other places. Well, the platform is relevant to them because we can now have what we call market intermediaries that can organize all these players and be on this platform and undertake trades which can attract buyers from Europe, from the US, and elsewhere through the organization capabilities of this trade platform. So, to sum it all in terms of the key benefits that we see on this trade platform is that one, it's connecting users, which enables people to find each other and trade, and to grow the economies through trade and investment. Market entry is made easy because the trade platform does not sleep. There are no closing hours. You can trade across the time horizons, which is very helpful in terms of getting more transactions happening on the trade platform. I've talked about transactions already, but the economies of scale and scope are quite interesting for us if you look at the number of sectors that we have across the continent and the capabilities that the trade platform has in terms of enabling all those players to come together. And with time, we'll get to the 2.6 billion that we are talking about. We are talking about an African continent that is getting to 2 billion population in 2030. We know that of the 6 largest, fastest growing economies in the world, 5 are in Africa, even under COVID. So the platform is being launched at the right time when Africa is coming together and having the Continental Free Trade Agreement, which is launching in January. So bravo to Selvest for setting this up. We will continue to partner with you in terms of advancing this work within the region. Thank you very much.
So the man behind the plan, that was such a terrible line I used there, but anyway, like I said, a very passionate man, Warwick Blamey, our group executive. Warwick started his career at Invicta Holdings before moving into private equity, then investments, where he was head analyst at a leading asset management house before moving to South Africa, partner of UK-based BCMS Corporate, where he was a deal maker in their M&A division focusing on sub-Saharan Africa. Warwick's expertise is focused on investments into agriculture, manufacturing, engineering and service industries, where he's been involved in various transactions over the past decade. Warwick holds a BCom and MBA from Edinburgh Business School. Ladies and gentlemen, Warwick Blaney.
Let's start off with what is the African Trade Platform. I think it's been mentioned quite a bit now. It's an innovative marketplace that utilizes algorithms to match stakeholders. I've actually changed the name from players because it's not just your players, it's their various stakeholders in every transaction that actually need to get joined into an efficient structure. So that's enabling efficiency in the full process. So I think let's start off with the USPs. Why have we actually set up this platform? What is the actual need in Africa for the platform that we're actually setting up? I'm just taking a typical example here. So we can use the example that Golden used with the lady sitting in Malawi, or it could be it's macadamia producer in Zambia. These are questions. I'm tired of local traders offering me low prices for my goods. How can I find a direct market if the only market that I know are local individuals acquiring my product and then selling it at large margins? How do I create bigger markets to increase my production? I've never exported. I mean, exporting scares a lot of people. I've never exported. Where do I even start? How do I even start the process on that side? I think just on that point, I'd also like to mention USAID are doing a lot of work in conjunction with ourselves to actually educate participants in Africa and actually get them trade ready. You'd be surprised how many large organizations as well as SMEs in Africa actually aren't trade ready. At the same time, from a finance perspective, not trade ready to actually generate trade finance to actually allow them to export their products. Next point is how do I get the product to the buyer? That links up to the trade perspective. If you're in the game, you understand it, but if you're not, a lot of participants in the market actually don't. It's something that gives them fear, and that's why they allow traders to come and take over the process in the majority of times. Another point is how do I get paid? This is a worry. A lot of traders and financiers will not pay the suppliers up front. There's a process to it. There's staged processes throughout the trade cycle. Now, that's once again brings fear to your sellers, not getting 100% of their product up front. But then at the same time, you've got your buyers that are risk avert and will not pay 100% up front. So I'll go into that a little bit later. Questions, what if it's a scam artist? I mean, there's scams is all around. I mean, I was in Nairobi 2 weeks ago and our whole transaction fell apart because of fraudulent activity, and that's what you get in Africa. It's not a secret. It's a graveyard of transactions that have failed in the past, and that's what we're wanting to rectify, bring in accountability. Now you're sitting in the buyer's seats. You're sitting in South Africa, the USA, Europe, and you're looking to acquire products. These are questions that are popping up. How can I find sellers for the products that we require in African countries? Are they genuine suppliers? Are they verified? How do we know that they're actually real? How do we know that it's not a fraudulent transaction? What price can we offer them? I mean, that's what Golden was saying earlier around the logistics makes a huge difference to the actual end price that you're getting. And how can I trust the seller? What guarantee do I have that I am going to get what I'm actually paying for? How much will it cost at the landed destination? and is there trade finance for the transactions. So what we are putting together at African Trade Platform is, if you can think of it as a trusted partner. If you're sitting in the buyer's shoes, how do the buyers know that they're actually getting the product that they are agreeing on, with the specifications, in the correct time, at the right price, delivered to their destination? African Trade Platform is stepping in with that, with the full verification processes. There are going to be different layers on what you as a buyer can select. So the full suite would be from full verification once the product actually gets into the processing facility, testing the specs, whether it's on a mineral, agri product, going through the full process from a verification perspective, to sealed boxes, onto the logistics, at whatever form the logistics comes into, through to sealing of containers, to bill of lading. So that's a full suite. If you take a step down from that, you can just look at pure verification that the product is there from a collateral management perspective. So there'll be a full suite to give buyers comfort that the product is actually real and is in place. How do financiers get qualified leads that fit their mandate? And that's what our platform will do by utilizing algorithms with pre-agreed mandates, or pre-populated mandates from financiers, that when your buyer or seller applies for finance on the platform, the algorithms will match the buyers or sellers with the specific financier, dependent on that financier's mandate. Now, there are many mandates from a financier's perspective, right from financiers purely concentrating on trade finance to supply chain finance, purchase order, invoice discounting, etc. Now, to all those pre-populated mandates will then get linked up through the back-end algorithms that the platform will work with. Now, from the logistics perspective, the platform is partnered with Shipper Freight, who are based out of the US. The structure around our logistics offering is, if you put yourself into the shoes of a seller wanting to see how competitive your product is getting delivered to a certain location, or you've got your buyer on the one side wanting to compare apples with different products that's delivered from various locations, how do you do that besides going through a laborious process of phoning each logistics company, getting a quotation of those groundnuts from Malawi versus groundnuts from Zambia, from DRC, and then getting a final quotation with it delivered to a city or town in the USA. And that was one of the biggest questions that we wanted to bridge when we were setting up the platform. Where our initial ideas were, you get your lanes that are required. It's going to take you 2-3 days to get your quotations back, but it just wasn't good enough. And there we came across Shipper Freight, which is part of Agility within the supergroup structure, and from there, how the Shipper Freight offering will work is you put in all your information for your load that's moving out of either wherever it is in sub-Saharan Africa. So you'll have your origin, destination, and they're pre-populated lanes. Now, we're actually working it out within sub-Saharan Africa. If you're looking at about 5 different locations within each country, and you're doing cross-pollination of lanes to America, Asia, Europe, Australia, and integration back into it. There are 12,000 different lanes that are within sub-Saharan Africa to the world that we're working with. Right? So to populate that from day one, we're not there yet, but it is a work in progress, and over the next couple of months that will be in place, which will allow an individual in Zambia exporting to the US will be able to get a price on that container within a couple of minutes without having to wait 2-3 days to actually get that quotation. Now, the advantage there is that if you're acquiring macadamias, for example, you can get a price from Durban, a price from Malawi, a price from Zambia, and you can compare apples and compare all the prices against one another. That also then helps the sellers at the same time. You can utilize the same function to get an idea of whether they are competitive or not. We all operate in an open market, and if you're not competitive, you are not going to you're not going to be able to compete on the larger scale. So going through the shipper freight structure, it's a straightforward, gives you a quotation, they'll give you a full charge breakdown, and then from there you'll end up with your final page, which gives you your full payment details, and your logistics then runs through from that point. So the next point, we're going to go through the platform next, but I just want to give a bit of background on how we actually partnered with our tech partner, who's Nutcracker. We spent quite a while doing research and due diligence on various tech partners in the South African landscape that would be able to partner with us on the journey from a platform perspective. Now, our background is on the physical trade, the financing, the structuring of the transactions. But from a platform perspective, we needed the correct partner to move forward with. And after 20-30 meetings with different tech providers, we came across Nutcracker. Nutcracker previously ran the full back-end software systems that link prime brokers to the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. If you think of the data and movements within messages or links per day, I mean, there's stats that I think it was 5 to 10,000 messages per second over 20 platforms, 20 million messages per day that they managed, running over the 50 platforms that they managed. So the thought process behind that is that where we are now compared to where we want to be in 10 years' time is we're going from a manual process to a fully integrated tech process that will run fully automated in the future with only managing the exception from a human perspective. And that was the reason that we went with the likes of Nutcracker. If we could go to the platform itself. From a platform perspective, and this just goes to the verification of what we're going to allow users to do and not to do. Once you log on to the platform and you do a simple sign up on the main page, you'll be allowed on as a viewer, which will only give you access to basic functions on the platform itself. Once you've logged on as a viewer and you wanting to get more functions within the platform, you will then have to move to the next stage to become a member on the platform itself. A member will give you full access to the platform viewing, barring doing any transactions itself. If you're logged on as a viewer and you want to go and view a product such as beans or within the energy space, you will not be able to go in and view products until you've been logged on as a member. And this is where the platform generates its first lot of information with regards to what the buyer, seller, financier or logistics company is actually mandated or interested in utilizing the platform for. So the main function is coming in the next page where your specific requirements are actually looked at. Okay. So what we're actually doing here is you've got buyers that are getting loaded onto the platform, that are putting in certain information, and then at the same time you've got your sellers that's getting loaded onto the platform, and this is where the algorithms start to match the individuals. And so if you've got a seller there selling macadamias, and somebody put the exact same information in, and they were a buyer that's looking to acquire macadamias, the platform will then link the two up immediately. Now, this is where if you have to chat to Dean and look at where we are compared to where we're looking at going, it's by year 10 to 20. We're probably sitting on V1 of version 500, and the algorithms at the moment are it's simple matching that we're sitting with. But once data starts to get generated, once we can use AI with the actual data that we're capturing, we'll then be able to pick up on trends. We'll be able to move a lot quicker into an automated process. But you have to put a peg in the ground, and we do need to start somewhere. Okay, so once we're on the platform, it's your main page here is your search product page. As you can see on the classifications, we've got the agric, that's on the bulk agric side, minerals, energy and packaged foods. Those are the categories that we're currently working with at the moment. Just to give you an example of a category, if you look at let's say grains, grains would be a category, and then within grains, that's where you'd find maize, soyas, and the rest of your grain products that would fall under that classification. Now it's, I think let's go to coffee then, Dean, if you're on it. If you look to buy a product now, you're going to coffee. These are all live deal transactions that we're currently busy with. Our beans coffee beans are generally coming from Kenya and Uganda. So there you'd have your specs, you'd have different photos. So these are the guys that are actually harvesting at the moment. And you'd have your specifications. If you're moving to the next step now, Dean, if you can just go buy a product. So in the buy process here, if it's your first time acquiring, we leave out the contract side to the transaction, because that we're going to hold the first time buyer's hand through the actual process before we run it into an automated smart contracts structure. So if you're happy with it, you'll put in your volume, top right hand corner, the price that you're actually offering the seller. You can put a message in there for them, and then move to the next step. So here you can put in your logistics options to get your quote now for the actual logistics. I don't think we need to go through that, Dean. This will take a bit of time. Sure. Once you've got your logistics prices, then you go to your full invoice. There would be a step in between here once we've done our first transactions with the buyers, and that will set out a full smart contract that would get incorporated into the different terms that the buyer's actually wanting to put into. So for one example, if you're acquiring macadamias, I'm going to need so it's a tongue twister, SATO certificate, a certificate. You'll want to get all your HACCP certifications, and the list goes on. So that full checklist will be on the contract, which will then get sent to the seller, who will then need to agree on the terms that are in the contract before a transaction actually proceeds. And so, for one example, if you've got that macadamia, it's a seller, and the terms that the buyer puts forward are too stringent, and he doesn't agree on that, he will decline the actual contracts. They will go back to the buyer and give him a notification that the transaction was declined. And that's how the integration will work. Once we reach a final stage here, this offer will then get submitted. As I said, the contracts aren't in the initial stages. So our team will then handle the rest of the process with the actual buyers to allow a seamless process in the initial stages. And that process will get followed for all products. So whether it's 100 kgs of groundnuts or it's 50,000 tons of iron ore, that's the process that we'll run. If you can go out, Dean, and just if you can just go to the dashboard. So the dashboard's got the profiles. It's a marketplace. It's got deals, product inquiries. If there's a category or product that we don't have on the platform, you can go on if you're a buyer or seller and actually request its information or request a market on it. Our teams will actively look for markets if it's not something that's actually on the platform. As you can imagine, there are hundreds and thousands of products that get sold throughout Africa. So just that live quotation, we will only have those full live quotations up in a couple of months. So don't expect to get those all on day one. There are 12,000 lanes that we need to work through. And then if you can go to the Get Finance, this is for the financiers, for buyers and sellers that are actually looking for finance. As I mentioned earlier, we'll upload pre-structured parameters from a financier's perspective, which will then link it to the actual buyer and seller when they're uploading that information. So as you can see, what we're trying to do is bring all the market participants together, but then at the same time having the African Trade Platform as a trusted partner to actually enable the trade and bridge the issues that currently are at play within our sub-Saharan Africa area. Where are we wanting to go with this? And as you can see now, it's not nearly where we want to be from an automated process. So we've got a 10 to 20 year view on where we're going. At the initial stages, from our operational side with our commodities trading, finance teams will be playing a big part. But as we move forward, it'll more fall onto the tech aspect of the platform, where it's a lot more AI will get utilized, a lot more matching automated processes, where we want to get to a transaction that's verified, it's processed with logistics from one point to the next without any human interaction. And that's where we're looking to go in the future. And I don't think it's an unrealistic expectation. It's with the tech that's evolving at a rapid pace. We should be able to get there within the next couple of years. I mean, terms that Dean throws around. I mean, we're going to be going onto a mobile app soon, so we want to run everything over the phone. So if you've got a grower, for an example, of that coffee in Africa, they must be able to take photographs of that product on a live spot with a geotag, giving the product that's actually there, so that the buyer can actually see that it's real. From there, it's moving on with the actual phone side, your push notifications, everything coming onto your phone, everything done from a chat bot's perspective. You should be able to be asking questions, all done over a mobile device, and that won't take us too long. It's just hard to integrate that AI into that process. So that's us in a nutshell. We obviously can't do it alone. We need participants from the buyers, sellers, financiers, logistics perspective to help integrate the whole process. And once again, thanks very much to USAID for your support and continuous walk with us on this journey. Thank you very much.